This is Tony T here from TonySpeaks.com with our college football pick show here for Saturday, November 2nd. We'll have picks from all 41 games. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you're looking for my best bets, my premium plays, click that link in the description. That'll take you to my page here at TonySpeaks.com. And if you like our video and our work here, give us a like, a thumbs up. It really helps our channel. All right, let's get this one started. Tech and Syracuse for Saturday. Virginia Tech improved to 5-3 after their 21-6 home victory to Georgia Tech. The Hokies gained 233 yards, 99 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 356 yards to the Yellow Jackets, 260 passing on 48 attempts. Kyron Drones, 16 of 27 passing for 128 yards with a touchdown. He had a rushing touchdown in the game. Syracuse now 5-2, a 41-13 road defeat at Pittsburgh. The Orange gained 327 yards, 6 on the ground on 29 carries. Defensively, they held the Panthers to 217 yards, 73 rushing yards for 3.3 yards a carry. Colin McCord here, 35 of 64 passing for 321 yards with 5 picks. He had a rushing touchdown in the game. 3 picks went for a touchdown. Virginia Tech on the road allows 181 yards rushing, 4.5 yards per rush with 7.6 yards per pass attempt. And the Orange offense at home completing 64% of their passes for 372 yards, 8.3 yards per pass attempt. We will take Syracuse here at +4. All right, next up we got Air Force and Army college football pick here Saturday. Air Force drops to 1-6 with their 21-13 home defeat to Colorado State. The Falcons gained 348 yards, 173 rushing for 3.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 406 yards to the Rams, 205 rushing for 5.7 yards a carry. Quentin Hayes here was injured, missed the game, was questionable here. John Busha, 10 of 25 passing for 175 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. He rushed for 31 yards and a touchdown. Army improved to 7-0, a 45-28 home victory to East Carolina. The Black Knights put up 342 yards, 295 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 369 yards to the Pirates, 282 passing on 38 attempts. Bryson Daly, 7 of 10 passing for 147 yards and a touchdown. He rushed for 171 yards and 5 touchdowns in the game. Army has scored 42 points or greater in 4 straight. The Falcons' defense on the road surrendering 5.6 yards a carry with 74% completion rate, 9.5 yards per pass attempt. The Falcons away from home rushed for 291 yards, 4.4 yards a carry, and put up nearly 20 points a game. Air Force is 4-1 in the over on the road against teams that average 425 yards per game or greater. Army 11-5 to the over at home. Play here will be Air Force and Army over 41.5. All right, next up we got for you here Ole Miss and Arkansas. College football pick here for action on Saturday. Ole Miss improved to 6-2 with their 26-14 home victory at Oklahoma. The Rebels gained 380 yards, 69 rushing for 2.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Sooners to 329 yards, 147 rushing for 2.9 yards a carry. Jackson Dart here, 22 of 30 passing for 311 yards and a touchdown. Arkansas sits at 5-3, a 58-25 road at Mississippi State. The Razorbacks put up 673 yards, 359 rushing for 9.7 yards a carry. Taylor Green here, 23 of 29 passing for 314 yards with 5 touchdowns and a pick. He rushed for 79 yards and a touchdown. In SEC play, the Rebels rushed for only 3.4 yards a carry, throw for 285 yards with 9.1 yards per pass attempt. Ole Miss defends the run well and allows 6.5 yards per pass attempt. Arkansas has been a good offensive team against the conference with 4.5 yards per rush, 256 yards passing for 8.1 yards per pass attempt. They limit SEC foes to 4.4 yards per carry on the ground. Ole Miss 0-5 the spread on the road against these good offensive teams that average 425 yards per game or greater. Play Arkansas +7. All right, next up we've got Duke and Miami here. Duke fell to 6-2, a 28-27 home defeat to SMU. The Blue Devils gained 393 yards, 98 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 469 yards to the Mustangs, 211 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Malik Murphy here, 27 of 48 passing for 295 yards, 3 touchdowns. Miami now 8-0, a 36-14 home win to Florida State. The Hurricanes put up 445 yards, 230 rushing for 5.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 248 yards to the Seminoles, 115 passing on 32 attempts. Cam Ward here, 22 of 35 passing for 208 yards. Duke has struggled offensively against the ACC as they average 3.8 yards per pass attempt and getting an inaccurate and inefficient work at quarterback. Miami putting up 41 points per game against the ACC with 5.2 yards per rush, 329 yards passing, 8.3 yards per pass attempt. Play will be Miami here at minus the 20. All right, next up we got Buffalo and Akron here for Saturday. Buffalo drops to 4-4, a 47-16 road defeat to Ohio. The Bulls gained 383 yards, 126 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 489 yards to the Bobcats, 258 rushing for 6.3 yards a carry. CJ Ogbonna, 24 of 39 passing for 257 yards with a touchdown and pick. Akron 2-6, a 25-21 home win to Eastern Michigan. The Zips posted 378 yards, 220 rushing for 7.1 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 481 yards to the Eagles, 367 passing on 48 attempts. Ben Finley, 12 of 23 passing for 122 yards with a touchdown and pick. The Bulls against the conference rushing for 4.3 yards a carry and passing for 7.3 yards per pass attempt. The Zips pass offense in conference is averaging 7.3 yards per attempt, but the pass defense allows 68% completion rate, 8.4 yards per pass attempt. Buffalo 5-1 of the spread on the road, facing teams that allow 31 or greater points. Play here will be Buffalo here at minus the 1. All right, next up we've got Toledo and Eastern Michigan here. Toledo fell to 5-3, a 41-26 home defeat to Bowling Green. The Rockets put up 422 yards, 102 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 422 yards to the Rockets, 320 passing yards on 45 attempts. Eastern Michigan now 5-3, a 25-21 road defeat at Akron. The Eagles gained 481 yards, 114 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 278 yards to the Zips, 156 passing on 26 attempts. Cole Snyder, 28 of 47 passing for 346 yards and 2 touchdowns. EMU against the MAC is rushing for 4 yards a carry, passing for 268 yards for 6.7 yards per attempt. They have defended the run and pass poorly in conference. Toledo and MAC play running for only 2.8 yards a carry, but have been efficient in the passing game. The Rockets 3-9 to the spread as a road favorite. The play here will be on Eastern Michigan plus the 8.5 points. Tony'sPicks.com. So let's get you going here with the first game on our show, Northwestern and Purdue for Saturday. Northwestern fell to 3-5 after their 40-14 road defeat at Iowa. The Wildcats gained 163 yards, 43 rushing for 1.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 355 yards to the Hawkeyes with 203 rushing for 5.2 yards a carry. Jack Lausch here, 10 of 19 passing for 62 yards with 2 interceptions. Purdue drops to 1-6, a 35-0 home defeat to Oregon. The Boilermakers gained 301 yards, 208 rushing for 4.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 421 yards to the Ducks, 290 passing on 25 attempts. Hudson Card expected to return from injury and split snaps with Ryan Brown. Northwestern's road performance just has been dismal this year. 2.2 yards per rush, 46% completion rate. The Boilermakers in their past 3 games rushing for over 5.5 yards a carry. They're getting back their starting quarterback. Play here will be Purdue at plus the 1. All right, next up we got Minnesota and Illinois college football pick Saturday. Minnesota now 5-3 with their 48-23 home win to Maryland. The Golden Gophers gained 443 yards, 123 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 427 yards to the Terrapins with 323 passing yards on 43 attempts. Max Browsmer, 26 of 33 passing for 320 yards with 4 touchdowns. Illinois drops to 6-2, a 38-9 road defeat at Oregon. The final Illini put up 293 yards, 132 rushing for 4.1 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 527 yards to the Ducks, 298 passing on 28 attempts. Luke Altmaier, 17-35 passing for 161 yards with 2 interceptions. Illinois at home rushing for 4.5 yards a carry and efficient in the passing game with 8.3 yards per pass attempt. They hold opponents to 57% completion rate at home. Minnesota on the road is rushing for only 1.6 yards a carry. Their pass defense away from home allows 65% completion rate for 7 yards per pass attempt. Illinois has wins at home against Michigan and Kansas. The play will be Illinois here at +3. All right, next up here will be Stanford and NC State college football pick Saturday. Stanford now 2-6 with their 27-24 home defeat to Wake Forest. The Cardinal gained 346 yards, 108 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 418 yards to the Demon Deacons, 245 passing yards on 30 attempts. Ashton Daniels here, 24 of 31 passing for 214 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. He rushed for 54 yards. NC State improved to 4-4 with their 24-23 road win at Cal. The Wolfpack put up 363 yards, 29 rushing on 30 attempts. Defensively, they allowed 399 yards to the Golden Bears, 282 passing on 43 attempts. CJ Bailey, 25 of 36 passing for 306 yards and 2 touchdowns. NC State against the ACC has passed well, 68% completion rate, 8.9 yards per pass attempt. They're allowing 35 points per game against the conference as they allow 5 yards per rush, 65% completions, 259 yards passing per game. Stanford defensively in the conference allowing 32 points per game with poor pass defense as they allow 272 yards passing per game, 9.1 yards per pass attempt. Play here will be on Stanford and NC State over 46.5. All right, Memphis and UTSA college football pick for Saturday action. Memphis now 7-1 with their 33-28 home victory to Charlotte. The Tigers gained 303 yards, 113 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 424 yards to the Tigers, 212 rushing for 4.4 yards a carry. Seth Hennigan, 20 of 32 passing for 212 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. UTSA drops to 3-5, a 46-45 road defeat at Tulsa. The Roadrunners put up 546 yards, 103 rushing for 2.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 433 yards to the Golden Hurricane, 370 passing on 44 attempts. Ole McCown, 30 of 50 passing for 434 yards. Memphis runs effectively against the AAC with 6.7 yards per pass attempt. The Tigers' defense has struggled in the conference by allowing 5.8 yards per rush, 269 yards passing, 7.6 yards per pass attempt. They allow 445 yards per game in conference. UTSA has put up 470 yards a game in AAC play, led by a passing game that puts up 331 yards, 7 yards per pass attempt. They have been good run stoppers against the conference and allow opposing AAC quarterbacks 55% completion rate. Player will be UTSA plus the 7.5. Ohio State and Penn State college football pick Saturday. Ohio State improved to 6-1, a 21-17 home win to Nebraska. The Buckeyes put up 285 yards, 64 rushing for 2.1 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 273 yards to the Cornhuskers, 121 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Will Howard, 13 of 16 passing for 221 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. Penn State sits at 7-0, 28-13 road win at Wisconsin. The Nittany Lions put up 419 yards, 173 rushing for 4.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Badgers to 298 yards, 81 rushing for 3 yards per carry. Drew Allar, questionable with a knee injury and missed the second half last week. Brabula, in relief, 11 of 13 passing for 98 yards, a touchdown. He rushed for 28 yards in the game. Penn State offense has rushed for 154 yards, 4.4 yards a carry, and getting accuracy and efficiency at the quarterback position. They defend conference foes to 3.5 yards a carry, 6 yards per pass attempt. The Buckeyes offense in the conference is completing 76% of their passes, 9.1 yards per pass attempt. They're rushing for 4.3 yards a carry in the Big Ten. Penn State quarterback situation a concern. And remember, they gave up over 400 yards to USC as well as allowing 30 points. The play here will be on Ohio State and Penn State to go over a total of 46 points. All right, next up we have Vanderbilt and Auburn in college football pick. This one Saturday. Vanderbilt drops to 5-3 after a 27-24 home defeat to Texas. The Commodores gained 269 yards, 114 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 396 yards to the Longhorns, 288 passing on 37 attempts. Diego Pavia, 16 of 28 passing for 143 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Auburn now 3-5 with their 24-10 road win at Kentucky. The Tigers put up 498 yards, 326 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. Peyton Thorne, 20 of 26 passing for 172 yards with a touchdown and pick. Auburn against the SEC completing 63% of their passes for 7.9 yards per pass attempt and rushing for 4.7 yards a carry. They have defended the run and passed well against the SEC. Vanderbilt has struggled running the football on the road. They are giving up 5.1 yards per run away from home. Auburn run game has improved the past 3 games to 4.9 yards a carry. Vanderbilt 1-4 to the spread on the road, facing a team that averages 8 yards per pass attempt. Play here will be on Auburn here at minus the 6.5. Old Dominion and App State college football pick Saturday. Old Dominion now 4-4 after their 47-19 home victory to Georgia Southern. The Monarchs put up 560 yards, 256 rushing for 6.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 416 yards to the Eagles, 303 passing yards on 36 attempts. Colton Joseph, 20 of 26 passes for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. He rushed for 69 yards and a touchdown. App State 3-4, a 33-26 home victory at Georgia Southern. The Mountaineers had 479 yards, 180 rushing for 4.7 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 386 yards to the Panthers with 194 rushing for 5.7 yards a carry. Joey Aguilar, 18 of 27 passes for 299 yards and 3 touchdowns. App State against the Sun Belt is rushing for 4.7 yards a carry with 274 yards passing for 7.2 yards per pass attempt. The defense has struggled in conference play. Old Dominion struggles with accuracy and efficiency in the passing game on the road. Defensively, away from home, the Monarchs are allowing 276 yards passing, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Play will be App State here at plus the 2.5. Tulsa and UAB college football pick Saturday. Tulsa now 3-5 after their 46-45 home win to UTSA. The Golden Hurricane gained 433 yards with 63 rushing for 1.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 546 yards to the Roadrunners, 443 passing on 51 attempts. Cooper Legas, 16 of 31 passes for 333 yards, 5 touchdowns. He rushed for 46 yards in the game. UAB falls to 1-6, a 35-25 road defeat at USF. The Blazers put up 485 yards, 101 rushing for 3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 355 yards to the Bulls, 154 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Jalen Ketna, 33 of 56 passing for 384 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Tulsa rushed for 3.4 yards a carry in the AAC. Golden Hurricane with Legas back at quarterback from injury is an upgrade from an inefficient passing game. On defense, the team allows conference foes 5.1 yards per rush, 340 yards passing for 9.8 yards per pass attempt. UAB in the AAC moves the football through the air for 265 yards, 6.6 yards per pass attempt. Their defense has been poor against the conference by allowing 48 points per game, 5.9 yards per rush, 10.3 yards per pass attempt. Player will be Tulsa and UAB over total of 58. All right, we got Arizona and UCF college football pick. This one here Saturday. Arizona drops to 3-5 after their 31-26 home defeat to West Virginia. The Wildcats put up 386 yards, 78 rushing for 3.1 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 401 yards to Mountaineers, 203 rushing for 5.1 yards per carry. Noah Fafita, 21 of 32 passing for 294 yards with 2 touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown. UCF fell to 3-5, a 37-24 home defeat to BYU. The Knights gained 379 yards, 181 rushing for 6.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 480 yards to the Cougars with 252 rushing yards for 4.9 yards a carry. Ja'Cory Brown here, 8 of 17 passes for 96 yards and 2 picks. UCF has rushed effectively against the Big 12, but are getting inaccurate quarterback play. On defense, Big 12 teams rush for 4.4 yards and carry and throw for 287 yards with 7.3 yards per pass attempt on the Knights. Arizona in conference play throws for 248 yards, 6.4 yards per pass attempt. They allow 4.6 yards per rush, 61% completion rates to the conference defensively. In their past 3 games, UCF allowing 449 yards a game. The Wildcats 7-4 the spread as road dog. UCF 0-3 to the spread as home favorite of -3.5 to -10. Play here will be Arizona here at Arizona here at plus the 6.5. For more free partial, we get this one started here for college football here on a Saturday. And here we've got UL Monroe 5-2 after a 46-17 road defeat to South Alabama. The Warhawks gained 387 yards, 238 rushing for 6.4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 523 yards to Jaguars, 355 rushing for 7.4 yards a carry. Aiden Armenta, 11 of 23 passing for 149 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. Marshall now 4-3 after their 35-20 home victory to Georgia State. The Thundering Herd put up 427 yards, 295 rushing for 8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 427 yards to the Panthers with 218 rushing for 6.1 yards a carry. Braylon Braxton, 11 of 20 passing for 132 yards with a touchdown and pick. He rushed for 72 yards in the game. Marshall against the Sun Belt rushing for 244 yards, 6.1 yards per rush, and averaging 7.1 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they held opponents to 60% completion rate in conference. UL Monroe struggles offensively with quarterback accuracy against the Sun Belt, plus allows 230 yards rushing for 5.7 yards per rush against in conference play. UL Monroe 6-10 to the spread as road underdog. Play will be Marshall here at -10. All right, next up we have here Indiana and Michigan State. Indiana improved to 3-0 after their 31-17 home victory to Washington. The Hoosiers gained 312 yards, 188 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 318 yards to the Huskies with 116 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Curtis Schwartz missed the game due to a thumb injury, questionable here. Taven Jackson, 11 of 19 passing for 124 yards with a touchdown and pick. He had a rushing touchdown. Michigan State sits at 4-4, a 24-17 road defeat at Michigan. The Spartans put up 352 yards, 163 rushing for 3.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 365 yards to the Wolverines, 146 passing on 20 attempts. Aiden Childs, 17 of 23 passes for 189 yards with a touchdown. Michigan State has a good passing game against the Big Ten as they average 67% completion rate, 8.6 yards per pass attempt. Defensively in conference, they allow 4.7 yards a carry, 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Indiana in conference rushed for 4.3 yards a carry and defending well. They were carried by an outstanding passing game behind Rourke. Thumb injury to Rourke is a concern in this road start and how efficient they've been in the passing game with him. Question is if can the Hoosiers maintain this pass efficiency with the backup in this road start? Play here will be on Michigan State here at plus the 7.5. All right, next up, North Carolina and Florida State for Saturday. North Carolina improved to 4-4 with their 41-14 road win at Virginia. The Tar Heels gained 427 yards, 135 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. On defense, they held the cap to 288 yards, 7 rushing yards on 29 attempts. Jacoby Criswell, 19 of 30 for 293 yards with 2 touchdowns. Florida State fell to 1-7, a 36-14 road defeat at Miami. The Seminoles put up 248 yards, 133 rushing for 4.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 445 yards to the Hurricanes, 230 rushing for 5.8 yards a carry. Brock Glenn, 5 of 18 passing for 54 yards and a touchdown. Florida State in conference rushes for only 3 yards per carry and getting inaccurate and inefficient play in the passing game. Defensively, in the ACC, they allow 4.7 yards per rush with 7.1 yards per pass attempt. The Tar Heels offense in their past 3 games are rushing for 4.4 yards a carry with 259 yards passing for 7.1 yards per pass attempt. Player will be on North Carolina at minus the 2.5. All right, next up we have Florida and Georgia college football pick Saturday. It's not it is a neutral site game here. Florida improved to 4-3 with their 48-20 home victory here to Kentucky. The Gators gained 476 yards, 197 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 309 yards to the Wildcats, 144 rushing for 4 yards per carry. DJ Lagway, 7 of 14 passing for 259 yards with a pick. He rushed for 46 yards. Now Georgia now 6-1, a 30-15 road win in Texas. The Bulldogs put up 283 yards, 108 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 259 yards to the Longhorns, 29 rushing on 27 attempts. Carson Beck, 23 of 41 passing for 175 yards, 3 picks. Florida in SEC play rushes for 4.2 yards a game, getting accurate and efficient quarterback play. On defense in the SEC, they allow 209 yards rushing for 4.4 yards per rush, along with 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Georgia defense against the conference holds opponents to 3.7 yards per run, 245 yards passing for 7 yards per pass attempt. In their past 3 games, the Bulldogs completing 70% of their passes for 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Georgia 8-3 the spread is a favorite of minus 10.5 to minus 21, but here will be Georgia here at minus the 16. All right, next up we have Middle Tennessee State and UTEP for Saturday's action. All right, Middle Tennessee State drops to 2-6 after their 42-20 road defeat at Jacksonville State. The Blue Raiders put up 605 yards, 438 rushing for 8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 364 yards to Blue Raiders with 297 passing on 36 attempts. Nicholas Matadio, 25 of 36 passing for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. UTEP 1-7 after their 14-10 road defeat at Louisiana Tech. The Miners put up 251 yards, 186 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 255 yards to the Bulldogs with 7 rushing yards on 30 attempts. Skylar Locklear, 7 of 11 passing for 76 yards and a touchdown. UTEP runs for only 3.9 yards a carry in conference and gets inaccurate quarterback play. On defense, they allow 4.1 yards per carry to Conference USA teams, but 67% completion rate allowed with 8.6 yards per pass attempt. Blue Raiders throw for 55% completion rate, 8.8 yards per pass attempt in conference. Their defense has struggled in conference. Prefer the quarterback position with the Blue Raiders here. Play Middle Tennessee State here at plus the 3. All right, next up we have Texas Tech and Iowa State for Saturday. Texas Tech fell to 5-3 after their 35-34 defeat to TCU on the road. The Red Raiders put up 438 yards, 180 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 461 yards to the Horned Frogs, 344 passing on 32 attempts. Baron Morton, 13-22 passing for 137 yards. Iowa State now 7-0. A 38-35 home victory to UCF. The Cyclones put up 530 yards, 256 rushing yards for 5.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 416 yards to the Knights, 354 rushing for 9 yards a carry. Rocco Beck here, 20 of 46 passes for 274 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. He rushed for 97 yards and 2 scores. Red Raiders on defense, allowing 5.2 yards per rush 253 yards passing for 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Cyclones against the Big 12 run for 222 yards, 5 yards a carry, with 242 yards passing for 7.7 yards per pass attempt. They have defended the pass well in the Big 12, allowing 53% completions, 5.3 yards per pass attempt. Texas Tech 1-3 to the spread here on the road when an underdog of plus 7.5 to plus 14. Play Iowa State here at plus the 13.5. All right, next up we've got Arizona State and Oklahoma State college football pick here. This one on Saturday. Arizona State drops at 5-2, a 24-14 road defeat at Cincinnati. The Sun Devils gain 346 yards, 191 rushing for 4.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 397 yards to the Bearcats, 191 rushing for 5 yards per carry. Jeff Sims, 12-23 passing for 155 yards. Oklahoma State 3-5. A 38-28 road defeat at Baylor. The Cowboys put up 433 yards, 74 rushing for 2.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 565 yards to the Bears, 343 rushing for 9 yards per carry. Alan Bowman, 28-42 passing for 359 yards with a touchdown and pick. ASU quarterback Sam Levitt is listed as probable after missing the last game. Rain is in the forecast here. Sun Devils on the road averaged 22 points a game as they rush for just 3.4 yards a carry. Oklahoma State against the Big 12 rushing for 4 yards a carry with 260 yards passing for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. They have struggled though to defend in the conference. ASU has dropped both of their Big 12 games on the road. Oklahoma State 5-0 to the spread as home underdog. Play here will be on Oklahoma State here at plus the 3. All right, next up here is Kansas State and Houston, a college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. Kansas State sits at 7-1 after 29-27 home victory to Kansas. The Wildcats gained 479 yards, 226 rushing for 5.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 401 yards to the Jayhawks, 192 rushing for 5.6 yards a carry. Avery Johnson, 19-34 pass for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 67 yards and a touchdown in the game. Houston improved to 3-5, a 17-14 home victory to Utah. The Cougars put up 289 yards, 228 rushing for 4.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 360 yards to the Utes, 90 rushing for 3.5 yards a carry. Zion Crisp, 6 of 13 passing for 61 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He rushed for 45 yards in the game. Houston offensively in the Big 12 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry and getting accuracy at the quarterback position. They hold Big 12 teams at 26 points per game. Kansas State has put up good numbers on both sides of football, but have only outscored opponents on the road by 2 points. Kansas State 1-6 the spread on the road after home win. Play Houston here at plus the 13. Right, next up, UCLA and Nebraska college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. Looking here at UCLA coming off a 35-32 row into Rutgers to move to 2-5. Bruins gained 478 yards, 95 rushing for 3.1 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 422 yards to Scarlet Knights, 287 passing on 30 attempts. Ethan Garbers completed 32 of 38 passing for 383 yards with 4 touchdowns. He rushed for 48 yards and score. He played through a foot issue but had a bye week entering the game. Nebraska 5-3, a 21-17 road defeat at Ohio State. The Cornhuskers put up 273 yards, 121 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Buckeyes to 285 yards, 64 rushing for 2.1 yards a carry. Dylan Raiola, 21-32 passing for 152 yards and an interception. UCLA against the Big Ten has struggled on the ground. They allow 260 yards passing with 70% completion rate, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Nebraska has held Big Ten foes at 3.5 yards a carry. UCLA 1-5. The spread is a road a team facing a team that allows 120 yards rushing or fewer. Play here will be on Nebraska minus the 6.5. All right, next up we've got Oregon and Michigan here. College football pick Saturday. Oregon 8-0 after the 38-9 victory to Illinois at home. The Ducks put up 557 yards, 229 rushing for 5.9 yards a carry in the game. On offense, they allowed on defense they allowed 293 yards to the Pine Illini, 132 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Dylan Gabriel 18-26 passing for 291 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. He had a rushing touchdown in the game. Michigan 5-3, a 24-17 home victory to Michigan State. Wolverines put up 265 yards, 119 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 352 yards to Spartans, 189 passing on 23 attempts. Davis Warren 13 of 93 passing for 123 yards and a touchdown. Michigan defense is allowing 3.7 yards per rush against the Big Ten and 62% completion rate for 6.7 yards per pass attempt. They average 4.4 yards per rush, 170 rushing yards against the Big Ten. Oregon is allowing 61% completion rate against the conference with 6.6 yards per pass attempt. The Ducks 3-4 the spread on the road against winning teams. Play here will be on Michigan here at plus the 50. Start here with Navy and Rice. Navy fell to 6-1 after their 51-14 defeat to Notre Dame. The midshipmen gained 310 yards, 222 rushing for 5.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 466 yards to the Fighting Irish, 265 rushing for 6.6 yards a carry. Blake Horvath, 7-13 passing for 88 yards and an interception. He rushed for 120 yards and a touchdown. Rice drops at 2-6, a 17-10 road defeat at UConn. The Owls put up 178 yards, 90 rushing for 2.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 309 yards to the Huskies, 181 rushing for 4.1 yards a carry. Drew DeVilliers, 14 of 30 passing for 88 yards. Rice and AAC play have struggled to get points on the board. They rushed for 4.5 yards a carry, but 60% completion rate against the conference. Owls defend against AAC well, allowing 4.1 yards per run and only 57% completion rate. Navy has been efficient offensively facing the AAC. They are a high-volume rushing team. In conference, they allow 4.8 yards per rush, only 58% completions against the AAC, playing Navy and Rice under 50.5. All right, next up we've got here Coastal Carolina and Troy. Coastal Carolina fell to 4-3 with their 34-24 home defeat to Louisiana. Chanticleer has gained 400 yards, 208 rushing for 7.7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 516 yards to the Raging Cajuns, 373 passing yards on 36 attempts. Ethan Vasco, 3 of 10 passing for 10 yards. Noah Kim, 16 of 25 passing for 182 yards with 2 touchdowns. Kim could start here. Troy drops to 1-7, a 34-31 road defeat at Arkansas State. The Trojans put up 466 yards, 162 rushing for 4.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 534 yards to the Red Wolves with 349 passing yards on 40 attempts. Matthew Caldwell, 22 of 33 passing for 304 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. Coastal Carolina defensively in the Sun Belt is allowing 4.8 yards per rush with 278 yards passing for 8 yards per pass attempt. Troy is rushing for 5 yards a carry at home and completes 65% of their passes for 8.5 yards per pass attempt. Chanticleers have lost 3 of 4. Play Troy here at plus the 4.5. All right, next up we got Wyoming and New Mexico. Wyoming drops to 1-7 with their 27-25 home defeat to Utah State. The Cowboys gained 470 yards, 276 rushing for 6.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 378 yards to the Aggies with 148 rushing for 4.9 yards a carry. Caden Anderson, 15 of 24 passing for 182 yards. Mexico fell to 3-5 with their 17-6 road defeat at Colorado State. The Lobos put up 453 yards, 134 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Rams to 334 yards, 192 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. Devin Dampier, 23 of 40 passing for 319 yards and 2 interceptions. He rushed for 51 yards. Wyoming struggles offensively against the Mountain West with only 51% completion rate. The Cowboys defend by allowing 4.3 yards per run with 51% completions. Mexico is a high-volume rushing team in the Mountain West and has been efficient in the passing game. They allow 4.5 yards per rush and struggle in pass defense in the conference. Wyoming is 6-3 the under on the road against the Mountain West. The Cowboys lack a passing game, but good pass defense the key here. Play Wyoming and New Mexico under 61. All right, next up we got UMass and Mississippi State for Saturday. UMass improved to 2-6 with their 35-7 home win to FCS Wagner. Now, 2 weeks ago, it was a 45-3 home defeat to Missouri. In that game, the Minutemen gained 237 yards, 95 rushing for 3.1 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 461 yards to the Tigers with 231 rushing for 6.1 yards a carry. Tyson Fonmonchana hit 12 of 22 passing for 132 yards with an interception. Mississippi State 1-7 with a 58-25 home defeat to Arkansas. The Bulldogs put up 471 yards, 162 rush for 3.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 673 yards to the Razorbacks, 359 rush for 9.7 yards per carry. Michael Van Buren here, 22 of 31 passes for 309 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He had a rushing touchdown. UMass offense has struggled on the road, 3 yards per rush and inaccuracy in the passing game. They held opposing quarterbacks on the road to 55% completion rate. Mississippi State has struggled on the ground. Here, 3.6 yards a carry. Their defense has a physical advantage here, which means scoring will be a difficult task for the Minutemen. Here will be on UMass and Mississippi State to go under 60. Right, next up we got Hawaii and Fresno State. Hawaii improved to 3-5 with a 34-13 home victory to Nevada. The Warriors gained 395 yards, 242 rushing for 5.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 380 yards to the Wolfpack, 286 passing on 39 attempts. Braden Shager, 14 of 25 passes for 150 yards with a pick. He rushed for 120 yards and 4 touchdowns. Fresno State 5-3, a 33-10 home victory to San Jose State. The Bulldogs put up 401 yards, 126 rushing for 3.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 385 yards to the Spartans, 284 passing on 51 attempts. Mikey Keene, 30 of 41 passing for 275 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. Hawaii has struggled on the road with the run and accuracy in the passing game. The Warriors allow 33 points per game on the road behind a poor pass defense that gives up 75% completion rate with 8.4 yards per pass step. Fresno State is a good passing team against the Mountain West with 70% completion rate, 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Hawaii's lost and failed to cover all 3 road games. Hawaii won 3 of the spread on the road against winning team. Player will be Fresno State at minus the 13.5. Louisville and Clemson college football pick for Saturday. Louisville improved to 5-3, a 31-27 road win at Boston College. The Cardinals gained 461 yards, 129 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 318 yards to the Eagles, 154 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Tyler Shaw, 28 of 38 passes for 332 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Clemson now 6-1. A 48-31 home victory to Virginia. The Tigers put up 539 yards, 194 rushing for 5.1 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 346 yards to the Cavaliers with 68 rushing yards for 2.3 yards a carry. Cade Klubnik, 23 of 35 passing for 308 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. Clemson, in their past 3 games, put up 42 points a game with 5.7 yards per rush and over 300 yards passing for 8 yards per pass attempt. They are defending well in this period, allowing 2.2 yards per rush, 56% completion rate. Louisville defense in their past 3 games allowed 33 points, 4.5 yards per run, and 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Louisville 2-9 of the spread on the road against the ACC. Player will be on Clemson at minus the 10. Georgia Southern here and South Alabama. Georgia Southern fell to 5-3 with their 47-19 road defeat at Old Dominion. The Eagles gained 416 yards, 113 rushing for 4.7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 560 yards to the Monarchs, 304 passing yards on 37 attempts. J.C. French here, 17 of 29 passing for 259 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. South Alabama 4-4, a 46-17 home victory to UL Monroe. The Jaguars put up 523 yards, 355 rushing for 7.4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 383 yards to the Warhawks with 338 rushing for 6.4 yards a carry. Gio Lopez, 18 of 30 passing for 168 yards. He rushed for 25 yards and a touchdown. Georgia Southern offense in the Sun Belt is rushing for 4.7 yards a carry and passing for 271 yards for 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they hold a conference foes of 4.2 yards a carry and 59% completions. South Alabama has good numbers against the conference offensively. They allow conference foes 4 yards a carry and 6.4 yards per pass attempt. South Alabama is 1-3 of the spread at home against the winning team. Play here will be on Georgia Southern at plus the 6.5. All right, we got USC and Washington here on Saturday night. USC improved to 4-4 with a 42-20 home victory to Rutgers. The Trojans gained 443 yards, 135 rushing for 5.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 434 yards to the Scarlet Knights with 313 passing on 47 attempts. Miller Moss, 20 of 28 passing for 308 yards with 2 touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown. Washington fell to 4-4. A 31-17 road defeat at Indiana. The Huskies put up 318 yards, 116 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 312 yards to the Hoosiers with 188 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. Will Rogers, 19 of 26 passing for 202 yards with 2 interceptions. The Trojans on the road struggle offensively with 4.4 yards per rush, 63% completion rate, 6.8 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, away from home, the Trojans allowing nearly 5 yards a carry, but 75% completion rate, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Washington against the Big Ten, they run for nearly 4.5 yards a carry. They complete over 70% of their passes for 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they hold Big Ten teams at 49% completion rate, 4.7 yards per pass attempt. USC 2-10 the spread as a road favorite. Play Washington here at plus the 2. All right, next up we got Wisconsin and Iowa. Wisconsin drops to 5-3, a 28-13 home defeat to Penn State. The Badgers gained 298 yards, 81 rushing for 3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 419 yards to the Nittany Lions with 246 passing yards on 31 attempts. Braden Locke, 22 of 42 passing for 217 yards with a pick. Iowa now 5-3, a 40-14 home victory to Northwestern. The Hawkeyes put up 355 yards, 203 rushing for 5.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 163 yards to the Wildcats with 43 rushing for 1.8 yards a carry. Brendan Sullivan, 9 of 14 passing for 79 yards. He rushed for 41 yards and a touchdown. Wisconsin on the road rushing for 205 yards with 5.3 yards a carry. They averaged 7.4 yards per pass attempt away from home. The Badgers defend well on the road, allowing 4.4 yards a carry with 50% completion rate for 4.9 yards per pass attempt. Iowa rushes well against the Big Ten with inaccuracy and inefficiency at the quarterback position, though. Defensively in conference, they allow 68% completions and 4.3 yards a carry on the ground. The Badgers 3-1 in the spread on the road when their line here at this price between +3 and -3. Play here will be Wisconsin at plus the 3. For more free pick videos, Tony T here from Tony'sPicks.com with our Texas A&M versus South Carolina college football pick here for Saturday, November 2nd. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. All right, let's get you the pick here. Texas A&M and South Carolina. Texas A&M improved to 7-1 with their 38-23 home victory at LSU. The Aggies gained 376 yards, 242 rushing for 4.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 429 yards with 405 passing yards in the game on 50 attempts. Marcel Reed hit 2 of 2 passes for 70 yards. He rushed for 62 yards and 3 touchdowns. Connor Wegman was benched for ineffectiveness. He split reps with Reed this week in practice. Wegman 6 of 18 for 64 yards last week. South Carolina sits at 4-3 after a 35-9 road win at Oklahoma. The Gamecocks put up 254 yards, 74 rushing for 1.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 281 yards to the Sooners with 53 rushing on 41 carries. Lenora Sellers hit 16 of 24 passing for 175 yards with a touchdown. Texas A&M on the road rushed for 4.6 yards a carry and is efficient in the passing game with 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Their defense allows 257 passing yards per game with 6.9 yards per pass attempt. South Carolina against the SEC is throwing for 181 yards with 7.1 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they allow 7.1 yards per pass attempt. The accuracy has improved in the passing game the past 3 games for the Gamecocks. Their defense in their past 3 games allowing 244 yards passing, 8 yards per pass attempt. The Aggies 4-0 the over as road favorite. South Carolina 6-1 to the over at home following a road game. The player will be on Texas A&M and South Carolina over 44. This is Tony T here from Tony'sPicks.com with our Kentucky versus Tennessee college football pick here for Saturday, November 2nd. For more free pick videos, subscribe to our channel. All right, let's get to this pick here. Kentucky and Tennessee. Kentucky fell to 3-5, a 24-10 home defeat to Auburn. The Wildcats put up 224 yards, 70 rushing for 2.6 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 498 yards to the Tigers, 326 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. Brock Vandegrift, 9 of 17 passing for 120 yards and a pick. Tennessee 6-1, a 24-17 home victory to Alabama. The Volunteers put up 408 yards, 214 rushing for 5 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 304 yards to the Crimson Tide, with 75 rushing for 2.2 yards a carry. Nico Iamaleava, 14 of 27 passing for 194 yards with a touchdown and pick. He rushed for 44 yards. Now, Tennessee's offense in the SEC rushed for 3.9 yards a carry, averaging nearly 7 yards per pass step. Defense has been outstanding against the conference. They hold teams to just about 2.5 yards a carry, 5.8 yards per pass step. Kentucky form has been very poor on both sides of the football over their past 3 games. Quarterback play has been inaccurate, just 46% completions. On defense, they allow 5.1 yards per carry with 73% completion rates for 10.1 yards per pass attempt. That's over that 3-game span. The Volunteers 11-4 to the spread as home favorite. The player will be on Tennessee minus the 17.5. All right, Tony T with Tony'sPicks.com with our TCU versus Baylor free college football pick here for Saturday, November 2nd. All right, TCU now 5-3 with their 35-34 home victory to Texas Tech. The Horned Frogs gained 461 yards, 117 rushing for 4.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 438 yards to the Red Raiders with 180 rushing for 3.6 yards a carry. Josh Hoover here, 21 of 32 passing for 344 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. Baylor 4-4 with their 38-28 home victory to Oklahoma State. The Bears posted 565 yards, 343 rushing for 9 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 433 yards to the Cowboys with 74 rushing for 2.2 yards per rush. Sawyer Robertson completed 11 of 19 passing for 222 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. He rushed for 73 yards and a touchdown. TCU on the road has been efficient in their passing game with 66% completion rate for 347 yards, 8.4 yards per pass step. They hold opposing quarterbacks on the road to 52% completions, 5.6 yards per pass attempt. Baylor has good offensive numbers in their past 3 games, but defensively in this period, they're allowing 67% completions, 8.1 yards per pass attempt, give up 477 yards. Baylor 1-4 the spread at home when favored by 7 points or fewer. The play here will be on TCU at +3. For more free pick videos, guys, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Tony's here from Tony'sPicks.com with our Pittsburgh SMU college football pick here for Saturday. Remember, for more free pick videos, guys, subscribe to our channel. Pittsburgh 7-0 after a 41-13 home victory to Syracuse. The Panthers gained 217 yards, 73 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Orange to 327 yards, 6 rushing yards on 29 carries. Eli Holstein 11 of 15 passing for 108 yards with 2 touchdowns. SMU now 7-1, a 28-27 road win at Duke. The Mustangs produced 469 yards, 211 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 393 yards to the Blue Devils, 98 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. Kevin Jennings went 13 of 24 passing for 258 yards with a touchdown and 3 picks. He rushed for 41 yards and a touchdown. Panthers defense in their past 3 games holding teams to 2.1 yards per rush, 59% completions for 5.9 yards per pass attempt. In this period, they're throwing for 7.2 yards per pass attempt. Mustangs' form in this period very good as well on both sides of the field. The Panthers won both road games at North Carolina and Cincinnati. The pick here will be on Pittsburgh here at +7. For my best bets, guys, click that link in the description. That'll take you to my page here at Tony'sPicks.com. All right, Tony T back here with your Colorado State versus Nevada free college football pick here for Saturday, November the 2nd. All right, for more free pick videos, simply subscribe to our channel. Colorado State now 5-3 after their 17-6 home victory in New Mexico. The Rams gained 334 yards, 192 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 453 yards to Lobos, 319 passing on 40 attempts. Brandon Fowler-Nicolosi, 11 of 20 passing for 142 yards and a touchdown. Nevada falls to 3-6 with their 34-13 road defeat in Hawaii. The Wolfpack put up 380 yards, 94 rushing for 3.2 yards a carry. On defense, they surrendered 395 yards to the Warriors, 242 rushing for 5.8 yards a carry. Brendan Lewis missed the game. He is expected to return here. Lewis is completing 67% of his passes for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Colorado State's offensive form has been strong against the Mountain West Conference with 5.3 yards per rush with 8.5 yards per pass attempt. On defense in this period, they're allowing 280 yards passing with 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Nevada has been an efficient passing team against the conference with 68% completion rate for 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Their defense allows Mountain West teams 4.5 yards a carry with 7.7 yards per pass attempt. Lewis back a plus for the Wolfpack offense. Nevada 4-1 the over at home against winning teams. The play here will be on Colorado State and Nevada over 45.5 points. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you're looking for my best bets, my premium plays, click that link in the description. That'll take you to my page here at Tony'sPicks.com. And if you like this video, give us a like and a thumbs up. You really help our channel. I'm Tony T. We'll talk with you later.